All right, guys, let's play some more Run 8. We're going to be talking more about traffic and operations than anything today, because it's basically a few things that I've been thinking about. We're once again on the AGS. This is a good one. It's not a huge route, right? It's pretty easy to keep up with as far as operations. And if you've been watching the stream, you know, the last stream we worked down here in Norris Yard. It's a huge yard. I will say it's what, 58 tracks. 58 track bowl, so it's a pretty decent yard. So we started cleaning things up because we had a huge traffic jam here. We had trains all over the place because we've been neglecting it, and the receiving yard is absolutely full. I mean, it's packed out, and that's one of the problems that they run into in real life with Norris, is just as kind of a bottleneck. But the problem that I ran into when we started doing this, and let's turn on the car tags. So you do left control F8 to do that. The problem that I noticed very quickly is that basically we had on the auto random AI traffic. Okay, so you have this enabled, and it'll randomly spawn in AI trains for you to meet and kind of travel across your railroad as you're doing your thing. For the most part, that's pretty cool. But operations-wise, it can kind of get you into trouble a little bit. So if we go into it a little bit more and we go to spawn points over here, and let's say we look at powers, which is the end of the railroad, right? So we got powers selected down here. This is a very southern end, and we go to train types, and as you can see, it's got a few types here that spawn in. It's got a few save trains, which would be basically specialty trains, which is the only one is just Amtrak. If you look at mixed freight, let's hit that, select mixed freight, and go to train symbols. And this is basically all the random trains that it will spawn at powers that will be heading northbound: 130, 312, 340, 344, and 346. 130 is an easy one. So 130 will spawn in, and basically all the cars in that train will be tagged for Chattanooga. And you can basically go in here and select what kind of cars you want on that train. In fact, I don't think any are selected, so then it just does whatever, right? I think that's how it works. So if no specific cars are selected, then it'll just randomly pick whatever and throw it in there. But either way, they're all tagged for Chattanooga, which is easy, right? They come up here to Norris. We take them and we sort them, and we put them on a train bound to Chattanooga. Now, in reality, this train would never yard at Norris. This is actually a run-through train. It's a New Orleans to Chattanooga train, so it would just go right by Norris. So it wouldn't even really matter. It wouldn't even need to be classified. If we go down to 312, same way. It's only tagged for Chattanooga. I'm not sure what the 312 service is. I think it goes to Norris. I'm not really 100% certain on that. We'll take a peek here real fast and see, because I've got some documents that I've kind of been sorting out the traffic. The traffic is what I love about the operations, right? Like, that's the fascinating part to me. And honestly, it's one of the harder parts, because if you're coming into this game as a newbie and you don't know anything about railroading, like, this is next level stuff. 312 is New Orleans Oliver Yard in Chattanooga. So it's basically another one that should run by and never really do anything here. So we've got 312. All right, let's go to 340. All right, here's where we get into the problems. 340 is a Norris train. I think 340 is Meridian. It's Meridian to Norris. So if you look at it here, it will say tagged for industries, yes. So this train is basically going to supply cars for your industries on this route. They're located on this route. And that's where the problem starts, is because they are generating, like, when it auto creates this train or auto generates it, it puts a crazy amount of customer orders in the train, and there's really like no way to regulate that. So that's the problem that we had. If you go down here to the bowl, we look at the bowl here. These are WC cars. These are run-through cars. I don't know what WC is, but they're run-through cars. Some Chicago, some Memphis. I think HO is Houston. Some Atlantas. You know, there's some random cars down in here. The problem that we run into is that the local side of the yard, as you can see, looking at the bowl here, the local side is filling up really, really quick because of all the local cars coming into the yard. And you see the westbound forwarding yard, all local cars, pretty much. If we go to the receiving yard, this is a train I retagged, so I'm kind of working on changing some things up. I retagged that one as well too. Let's see what but all right, yeah, these are two inbound trains that came in. This is 384 and another 384. So we got two 384s in here. You see, it spawned with the industry cars in it, and as you can see, like a large majority of these trains are industry cars. Like it just goes on and on and on, right? And now we're getting into some run-through cars here, but this side is still industry cars, still industry cars, still industry. Like it's almost an entire train of industry cars. We got one hoe here. I think that's Houston. And then we got more industry cars. Like this entire train is like 95% industry cars for the route, and maybe a handful of run-through cars. So I mean it goes like this one is the same way, right? We're starting down here on this end. You see all these industry cars. Look at all the industry cars over here. Like there's tons and tons of industry cars coming in, and what happens is it overwhelms the yard. It overwhelms the yard. It overwhelms the locals, and you have locals that are like 100 cars long. It's going to take longer to work. It's going to take longer to get them out. These, you know, run-through cars are cars that you can just get in and out relatively fast, right? Local cars, you got to sort it down by local, then you got to run the local and deliver it. It really clogs things up a lot. And so that is the problem, is that, like, look at all these local cars. Yeah, that is the problem. That is the problem, is that when Run 8 auto generates these trains, and it has cars, cars tagged for industries, it just randomly puts them out there, and it puts a lot out there, and there's really no way to regulate this traffic or like dial it back. Now, you know, there may be trains that you see that might have a ton of local cars in it. Like what I say with the railroad, never say never, right? But it's not going to be like this all the time, and it's not going to be like this every train. They're going to come in sporadically, right? They're going to come in groups, a handful here, a handful there. It's not going to be a ridiculous amount coming in on every single train, though. Like that's just a lot. I think it's way overkill. All these cars just everywhere. Like 90% of this yard right now is probably cars destined for local industries on the entire route. And that's just a crazy amount of cars. And, you know, I've talked many times about how customers worked on the railroad and what we did at least 20 years ago. You had some customers that were your heavy hitters, that were your daily switches every day. They may take a lot of cars. They may take a few every day. It depended on the customer, right? I think of one customer that I had on a local that I worked that was a heavy hitter. It was a daily customer. It was a hot customer. We took them 16 boxcars every single day. Every night. That is what we did. Some nights we didn't do anything but take these guys 16 boxcars. It was GE. It was a GE warehouse for GE appliances. So we took them 16 boxcars every single night like clockwork. There was a lot of nights that is all we ever did. We had some, you know, we had other customers that were assigned us as well too, but they weren't an everyday customer. We had a lumber yard, and I think I worked that local for a month straight, and I think out of that entire month we went there one time. A plastic pellet place that we went to maybe once or twice a week, something like that, not a lot. So that's basically how your customers kind of work, right? You have your heavy hitters that you hit up all the time, and then you may have your mom and pop place that you might hit once a month. Shoot, there's even places that you might hit once, once every 6 months. Let's say like a small farmer's co-op where, you might take them a car of fertilizer once every 6 months or something like that. So there's no way to regulate this traffic. That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma in this route, is that there's no way to regulate this traffic. I kind of wish, like, as far as your industries, like these are the industries on the route. This is 84 Lumber. He's serviced by A39. You get to this window by hitting left control L. So this is 84 Lumber. He's got a capacity. You can spot 5 cars there. You just got room for 5 cars there, and it will take them 24 hours. If you put 1 there, it'll take 24 hours unloaded. If you put 5 there, it'll take 24 hours. I think that's how that works. I don't think that's per car. I've never checked it. Like, I think it's for just to unload everything. So it's got a timer that will tell you, how quickly they can unload something that you spot there, which is kind of true to life, right? Like, you might have a customer that may get a car once in a blue moon, but they're not going to sit on that car for ages, because after a certain amount of time goes by, they have to start paying extra for the car. So the problem is that we don't have an order system, at least within the confines of the game that I know of. There's no way to... there's no way for the customer to put out an order as far as like what and how many and when they need it. Oh, this is cool. Got strapping. It's got the strapping for the lumber here, right? That is. So these are all empty. They're all ready to go. How big is this place? Yeah, it's decent size, right? It looks like, I don't know what it's like in real life, but it looks like they could take a fair amount of cars in here. Pretty regular. I don't think this place would be a daily switch. I don't think it would be a daily switch. It could be potentially, a couple times a week, once a week, something like that. But I don't think this place would be a daily switch. I could totally be wrong though. I'm just guessing. But either way, there's no way to order to have the industry like order these cars. So if we hit Control I, this is going to take us to the industry industry configurations. Left Control I, we come up here, we go to 84 Lumber, and this is basically it. You see he takes center beam flats. He can spot 5 up. It takes 24 hours to unload. It produces empties, so you bring in loads, it produces empties. And these are the tags that it would go to once the cars are unloaded. But as you see on this entire thing, there's nothing that says, hey, these are the next cars that I want to get. You're purely left at your own devices as far as like, hey, I'm going to spawn in a train. I'm going to create a train. I'm going to put 184 lumber car in it, and it's going to spot it up, or I'm going to let the AI do it. And at that point, you may get a ton, right? We could say, for instance, this place takes 1 car a month or 2 cars a month. We'll say 2 cars a month. Just throwing that out there. If you left it to AI to spawn and it spawns 20 trains, you might get 20 trains with 2 cars. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you may wind up with 40 cars. At least as far as I can tell, like a ridiculous amount of cars. So there needs to be an order system for each customer where it says, hey, I want 6 cars a month. I want 2 cars a week, 1 car a day. 2 cars a day, 10 cars a week, whatever the case may be. There's got to be a way to order that, and then once the order is completed, then it would run a timer and say, okay, well, we're not going to order any more cars for a week, and therefore it's not going to spawn in any AI with that on it. So that's the problem that you run into with the customer orders that, and then on top of that, just figuring out the traffic flow. That's like getting into information that a lot of people aren't aware of. So we're going to go back to the hump, and I've been making some changes to the hump. So if we go up to the hump here to the master retarder, we hit left control F6. It's going to pull up the hump controller for us. And these are my hump tags. Now, I completely changed this up compared to what was default with the game. I went off kind of what the depot's done. They always do an amazing job of setting this stuff up and kind of getting a good general direction as far as how you want your railroad to work. So what they did is they added in a lot of other tags. They cleaned up the tags. They added, I feel like, some better tags than what's included default. And that's what I added in. I'm not sure if this is all of them, but you know, we have like Atala, Alabama. We've got Mobile, Sheffield, Meridian, BN, New Orleans Public Belt, Oliver Yard, New Orleans, Livonia, the AGR Railroad, the ABS, the KCS, which is Meridian Interchange, Finley Yard, BN Transfer. This is going to be Birmingham to the BN in Birmingham. CHT's Chattanooga. Pretty self-explanatory. There's a few in here. I may tweak this a little further. There's a few in here I'm not, I wasn't sure about. They had one for Roberts, Alabama. I don't know what happens at Roberts, Alabama. I can't even find it on a map. I live half my life in Alabama, and I don't know anything about Roberts. So I took it out. Maple is another one. I think I took it out. I don't see it. Yeah, here it is, Maple. I don't know what's at Maple, Alabama. I have no clue. There's no trains on our railroad that they may go through Maple, but there's nothing that terminates or originates there. So what I want to do is take it out. I really feel like in the scheme of things, it's kind of irrelevant to me. There's a few others that I'm not sure of. So let's say out of Norris. So we're going to say the bulk of the traffic leaving out of Norris southbound is basically going to be going to a handful of places. Either going to go to New Orleans, is going to go to Meridian, or it's going to go to Mobile or Calvert. The New Orleans. We'll talk about the New Orleans because New Orleans is a little bit tricky. So New Orleans, we've got NBN, which is New Orleans BN. We've got New Orleans Public Belt, which is NPB. I don't see it. I know it's on here, but there it is, NPB. We've got Houston. We've got Livonia. We've got Avon. Avon is the UP yard in New Orleans. Livonia is a little bit outside Houston, of course. You know where Houston's at. Honestly, I think I'm going to get rid of Houston and Livonia. So our New Orleans trains, we're basically doing 2 different destinations in New Orleans. We're going to Oliver Yard in New Orleans for the NS, which I feel like they can either supply to customers, NS customers down there, or they can divvy them out to the BN or the New Orleans Public Belt, whatever. New Orleans UP is going to be Avon. I feel like your traffic going to Livonia and Houston is past Avon, so it's really like, for our purposes, Houston and Livonia isn't really needed. Like, I feel like the train's going to go to the UP at Avon, and then they're going to sort it or block it to wherever it needs to go after that. You know, it's going to be the destination overall for the car, Houston, right? But for our purposes, I really don't feel like it's needed. You know, we got Greenville, South Carolina. Elkhart, Indiana is definitely a good one. Calvert. East Point. Yeah, these are all good. I'm okay with these. I just... Atala, Bellevue, Knoxville, Sheffield, Roanoke. Being transfer, that's another one that's kind of interesting. This can give you an idea of how like quirky the routing can be. Being transfers here in Birmingham, 32nd Street. They take the cars to East Thomas, and then their route goes from East Thomas to Memphis. NS can run cars to Memphis as well via Sheffield. So it's like we could put a Memphis tag in here. So at that point, you've got two ways to go. Okay, well, what's going to be in transfer and what's staying on the NS to Memphis? So I would think for the most part, they would route traffic to Memphis via their own railroad because they get more money from that. So then if that's the case and the BN goes to Memphis too, well, then what goes to BN transfer? I would think these would be more like locally captive cars. Or cars on the BN between Memphis and Birmingham. So like Armory, Corinth, you know, I think Corinth is on that route. I'm not sure. Something like that. So if it's going to Memphis all the way, it'd stay on the NS. They make that money, right? They make that paper. If it's going to the BN transfer, the East Thomas, then it would be more locally captive cars, that sort of thing. So, I mean, we can kind of look at the map here and get an idea of what's going on. Pull up the NS map. Here we go. So as you can see, of course, we got Birmingham. Here's Norris right here. We've got the West End, the NA line to Sheffield here. Then we got Memphis here. All right, here's the BN route. East Thomas. You can see BN goes through Armory. Tupelo. They don't go through Court. NS goes through Court. They go through Tupelo, Holly Springs that way. So there's basically two ways to send traffic to Memphis, either via the BN or the NS via Sheffield. Like I said, they're going to keep it captive to their railroad to make that paper, to make that money. So the BN transfers would probably be stuff that would be short of Memphis because they can get the cars to Memphis themselves. So like I said, cars short to Holly Springs, Tupelo, Armory, cars that could be delivered by the BNSF on their customers in Birmingham, something like that. So that's probably why you don't see like a crazy amount of cars going there because they have a route to Memphis, so they don't really need these guys. Go down here to New Orleans. We need the blown up map for that. Where is New Orleans at? There we go. All right, this is New Orleans. This is Avondale. I think I kept calling it Avon. It's Avondale, though. Here's New Orleans Public Belt. As you can see, here's Oliver Yard. The NS terminal. I guess Oliver Yard is NS. Maybe it's a joint New Orleans Public Belt. I'm really not sure. But either way, here's Avondale. So Avondale will be the UP yard. We'd be sending cars down to Avondale. If we go up here and look on the map, Livonia is here outside of Baton Rouge to the west. Of course, Houston is way over here in Texas, right there. So both on the UP, right? Livonia is here. I don't see the sense in tagging it to those. I'm just going to tag them to Avondale. But like I said, you can run your railroad the way you want. It's totally up to you. Do it how you want. Do it what works for you. I'm just trying to simplify it a little bit, the off-route stuff. As far as the NS, you know, they have probably one of the weirder like networks as far as corridors. Always said CSX is a good north-south railroad. Got some east-west up north, but down in the southeast is mostly north-south. NS is like their main corridor in the southeast is southwest to northeast. They don't really have a good north-south corridor or an east-west corridor. They kind of a little bit here, but it's more generally like northwest to, or southwest to northeast. So that's kind of how you would do your routing. We may add some more tags in. I haven't decided yet. I think Cincinnati is absolutely a good tag to add in. May put that in. Cincinnati right here. Jacksonville would be a good one to add in. We've got Atlanta. We've got East Point. We've got Doraville over here on the other side of Atlanta on the eastern side. So yeah, we can tweak it and adjust it as needed. Either way, it's a pretty it goes to show like how involved and complex this stuff could get. I really feel like more than anything they need a customer order system, even if it was something external from the game that the game connected to, like a work order system where you can say hey, 84 Lumber is requesting 2 cars this week, so we need those to spawn in on an AI train, 2 cars. Work their way down here to 84 Lumber, and then as soon as we mark it delivered on the work order system, then it starts a timer for a week, right? And then the next cars won't pop up until another week. That way it would kind of regulate this this inbound traffic a little bit. So we've added in Cincinnati, we've added in Memphis. Another one we may add in would be Childersburg, Alabama. That's the location of the big paper mill that I used to work at, and it took cars from NS and CSX, and it was a really big traffic generator. So that might be a good one. I don't know what the Childersburg code is. Maybe CHD or CLD. I don't know. Let's see. CLD, GHL. Maybe. I wish I could find something. These routing tags from this. I've seen something like this for CSX, and it was for Waycross, but I've never seen one for the NS. Either way, we put CHL for Childersburg. We'll go ahead and add that one too, and we'll save this. This is once again, this is your hump controller, so you can just set save to disk. Be sure to back up your default if you don't want to change it. Back up your default if you don't want to change it. Let's exit out of that. Let's go down here to the bowl. So now everything will route to the correct track in the bowl. The downside is that a lot of these cars are tagged for the old system. You know, so I'm going to have to kind of straighten that out. Like these, the Chicago's, get rid of, retag those. The Memphis might be okay. The WCs need to go. The Hoes need to go. The Atlantas are okay. What else we got? Let's go back here to the receiving yard. We've got a ton of stuff here in the yard. We've got the 2 384s right here. I mean, honestly, one of these could go. Really, if we wanted to, one of these could totally go. We don't need both. 27 loads per 7 is 5,200 feet, 50. So they're basically the same, honestly. Yeah, they're basically the same. It could be an either or, whichever one we want to delete. Let's get rid of one of them, though. We're going to have to retag the other one as well, too. You know what? Honestly, instead of retagging all that, I think we're just going to kind of clean stuff out a little bit. We don't need all these bra-bras. This doesn't look too bad here. This is a good one. I think I retag this one, right? Yeah, mobiles. Yeah, this looks like a pretty decent one here. Honestly, these are loads. The loaded 2-bays. So A28 runs a there's a big cement cement place down at Calera. And they run tons and tons and tons of these cars out there. They come out, they go to Wilton, and then they come out of Wilton on the A28. So you see a lot of these. These could be cars out of Wilton, and then they're retagged for wherever. Atlanta, Sheffield's. I need to change these tags. That is not correct. That is supposed to be Bellevue, but I've changed that tag. The Chattanooga is now CHT. Meridian CP is now KCS. BNSF is being transferred. We got CSX is going to be Boyles here. Linwood. The scrap guns. You know, honestly, these need to go to Calvert. because they take scrap down there for whatever however they do their steel process. They take scrap down. You need to look at it on Google Earth. There's a huge, like, Calvert is where it's at, and McIntosh is where it's at. There's tons of chemical plants down there and steel mills. So these could probably go to Calvert. We won't worry about them right now. What else we got? That train's being humped. Look at all the industry cars. Like, it is just a crazy amount of industry cars on here. Man, there's so many of them. There's so many of them, and it just overwhelms things in the blink of an eye. Wait, is there no power on? We took the power off of this one is what we did. So see, look at all the bras. Like, we got tons of them. We got tons of them going to Birmingham Regional Intermodal. So a lot of this stuff could probably be, it could be deleted out as well. Really. And then the flip side is that we're about to change up industry tags too. Like, if we do, actually, no, let's not do that. Let's do F Control I. For industry configuration, 84 lumber. Okay, see, this is a bad tag right here. Right, for us, it's going to be KCS. Or for me, it's going to be KCS. So I'm going to change that up. Like I said, run your railroad the way you want. You don't have to do any of this if you don't want to. This just gives you a little bit of an idea of, like, how to go through and do all this stuff. Back 40 beer. Look at his tags. This needs to be BNT. BNT. So unfortunately, Spur is going to have to go through all these industries and retag everything. And I don't know if that tag has changed. That may be. Let's go ahead and save it. Look at that tag real fast. It is a ton of work, guys. It really just is. Like I said, depending on... yeah, it's actually Cal. Instead of CVT, it's Cal. Cal. We could even add in more if we wanted to. I don't know. Like, a lot of this is that you don't know what their supply chain is either, or who they're selling to. You're just kind of randomly picking, right? So this could go to our new Cincinnati tag, right? It could go to our new Memphis tag. You know, it just depends on what you want to do. Let's see. They produce loads, so evidently they're sending out beer or something here. They produce loads. Capacity of 3 cars every 24 hours. Faggots. Oh, we need to change this one. Yeah, change that one. They produce empties. Get rid of that. We don't need the BNT. Unless it's going to a BN customer between Birmingham and Memphis. We're going to put Memphis. We're going to keep it on our railroad. And we could add AVL for New Orleans if we wanted to. New Orleans UP. Or we could do New Orleans Oliver Yard. It could go either or, right? So Oliver Yard would transfer. I would think it would be either captive to New Orleans or transferred to the public belt or BNSF. Avondale would go to the UP. I keep wanting to call it Avon. What else? Birmingham Hot Metal. Yeah, see, there's several tags here. We got to correct it because I changed it up. ACS. Let's do what is that tag? It's got me second guessing it now. AVN. So there we go. Save that. We could even do what is this? Where they're shipping out empties and they are 2-bay covered hoppers. Yeah, I don't know what the supply chain is, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say on this. One of the cool things is like down at Calvert's or at McIntosh, there's a big Olin chemical plant down there. One of the things that they make that I researched was caustic soda. So this isn't even on our railroad. This is down towards Mobile. They make caustic soda is one of the many things that they make there. And so caustic soda is used a lot in paper production. We took tons of it at the paper mill that I worked at. So technically you could run it between McIntosh and Childersburg, Alabama, and that would be captive. So they would run cars in between those two locations. But if you know the supply chain, but a lot of these places you have zero clue what the supply chain is, like zero clue, no idea what's going on with it. So that's one of the tough parts, right? What else could we do? What else could I show you guys? I think you basically get the gist of it. I guess the point of this whole video is just showing you how in depth you can get with this stuff, and then giving you a little bit of an idea as far as like how you can manipulate some of these menus. So like, you know, left control L takes you to your industry list. This is okay, it breaks it down by industry, so we could go. Oh, it does. It breaks it down by local. Okay, so we could do A28. There's only one customer, so A28 runs between Wilton and Birmingham. They run out of Wilton, they go to Birmingham North Yard, they pick up their cut, and then they go back. This is the only industry owned the actual physical route. The rest of it is off route simulated. So you run it to the end of the track, you delete the train. But this one industry has 2 boxcars there ready to go. One of them's destined for Atlanta. One's destined for Meridian, which that we changed. So it should be MERS-CP. Or I mean, it should be KCS. This is physical security. So if we want to go to configuration, go down here to physical security. There we go. We can transport to it. This is going to be the guy right here. It's off the 3B. We can do left control I. This brings up the industry configuration, and we can go to physical security. There we go. And let's look at box cars. All right, here's the box car. So you see it's got the one goes to MERS-CP. We can change that to KCS. Null 1, we'll just do Null Sheffield. We're going to take out BNSF. There's not going to be a ton of stuff going to the BNSF transfer. There is, but I just don't see them shipping via the BNSF to Memphis when they can do it themselves. All right, make the money. BEO would be Bellevue. What is that tag? BLV is the tag that we need, so we'll change that one up. BLV. Good enough, right? Like we could add way more. We could put Allentown if we want here on, want to on here. LN. I think that's gonna be good. Let's save it. Exit out. Let's change this bad boy here. So we'll select this car and we'll just do KCS instead of, because there is no MERS-CP tag in the yard in the bowl anymore. So ATL, KCS, that's going to work out perfect. Nice area too. I dig this. So what are they? I really don't know what they do here. I have zero clue. Sometimes you kind of dope it out on Google Earth a little bit, but I have no clue what they do here. Got the big high cube. So this basically gives, like I said, a little bit of an idea as far as like operations and what you can do and how involved it is, and like some of the systems that you can use to navigate this as far as industries and customers. And then kind of highlights a little bit of the order problem, that there is no way to regulate the orders. It just keeps sending and sending and sending and sending cars, and that's how your railroad gets overwhelmed if you let the AI spawn it, right? Like there needs to be a way to regulate the AI spawning. It needs to be an order system, so the customer says, hey, I need 5 cars this month. AI spawns in 5 cars throughout the month. Maybe you could be more specific about it. Really, what would be cool is to have a calendar system. And you could go to your customer. You could either say X amount of cars every day for a daily work, like the 16 boxes that I took to GE every night. So 16 cars a day. Or you could do a mom and pop places like once a month, or once every 2 months. You know, there's places I work that were once every 6 months. But that wouldn't translate well in game. You know, so you need to kind of compress that a little bit to maybe once every 2 weeks or once every month or something like that, you know. But either way, there definitely needs to be a way to regulate the customer traffic, either via the game itself or some kind of external program that ties into the game. Maybe there's a way to regulate this traffic that I'm just not aware of. So if you guys know, let me know. But the only way that I know to regulate the traffic is just to create the trains by hand. So like you could have base trains, right? 344-1, 344-2. These are some ones that I just did the other day. 182-1. So 344-1 and 2. They're both 344s, but they're each a little bit different. So you could load in your base train, go in, load in a consist editor, and then go in and add your handful of customer cards that you need, and then spawn the train in. It adds a little bit more work to the system though, and it's not automatic, so that's the downside to it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Love all of you. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. No, big cat, no. Oh no, kitty. Oh, that's a mig. That's a mig over us. Okay, it's the weirdest day ever. Oh no, he just